Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to Card Making Project 608 using our gorgeous Anna Griffin supplies. Today we're going to make a sympathy card. Now I've been asked over the last couple of weeks about, ideas for sympathy cards because not every card wants to be bright and cheerful. However, I'm in the view of if you're making a sympathy card for somebody that you know, it isn't the case of making an award-winning card. It's making a card that's made from the heart, sending love and prayers to that person. So I think it's the case of if you don't like something that I've created with bright cardstock, change the colour, change the sentiment. This could be a thinking of you card, but particularly today I'm making it as a sympathy card, but you can change it. You'll see what I mean as we go along. So everything I do use I should put in a detailed list on my blog, so please be sure to check it out. I'm going to run through the items that we're going to use, so you can substitute them if you don't have them because they're not imperative. Now the first item that I'm using is the Sentiment Stamp and Die set from Anna. Mine is well loved, as you can see, and I'm just using one of the stamps. It's with sympathy, and it just basically it's for the insert. So if you don't have this set, maybe you've got some stamps with a sympathy message on that's from Anna in a different collection, use that. Substitute it with whatever you have in your stash. Next we're going to be using the Compendium card making die set, and this again is just for the insert. We're going to use one of these for the shapes in the centre. Again, if you don't have it, you could substitute it for any shape or just use a cut-out rectangle. Next, we're going to be using the Ruffle Cut and Emboss dies from Anna. We're going to be using the border. We're using both the shadow layer, which is the outside layer, and the ornate layer of the border. Again, if you don't have these, Anna's got some gorgeous border dies, border edge dies. There's all the fancy edge dies as well. Maybe there's something there that you'd be able to substitute it with. And last but not least, we are going to use, now these are new to me, the fancy edge dies. These were on QVC UK. I can't remember if it was earlier this year or the end of last year, but I've just got mine and I think they're beautiful. So we're going to be using the middle die, there we go, both the ornate layer and the shadow layer. So those are our dies and stamps. Now I'm going to start off with my card base, and it's a sympathy card, and I'm thinking outside the box here. I'm going to use a black blank card base. It's 7 by 5 inches, it's just plain black. Now I've wrote my number on here of what tutorial it is. I've wrote it in white pen just to keep me online. If you're using your handmade by stamps, there's no reason why you can't stamp the back, maybe using something like the Perfect Medium, and then heat emboss it with white embossing powder, and then add your name, maybe obviously in a white pen or a gold pen, something like that. Or you could just leave it blank. So I just wanted to point that out. Now, just because it's a different cardstock, I'm still going to use my bone folder to make sure that edge is nice and sharp, just so that when it stands up, it looks professional and it doesn't wobble in the wind. And we're going to create the insert first. So I've used the Anna Griffin Toile cardstock collection, and I've taken a piece. I've used the fancy edge die and I've used the ornate layer, and what I've done is I have die cut it from the 7 by 5 inch cardstock that was in the collection. I've die cut it along the edge, and then I've die cut it and taken it through the machine a second time to give me the fancy edge at both sides of the cardstock. So I've chosen the Toile with the people on in the shade of black. Now I think cardstock selection is all very personal for a sympathy card. I've got flat tape on the back, and I'm just going to mount my layer into the centre of the card, taking it quite up to the fold and keeping it central like that. Next, I've used the Cardmaking Compendium to cut out a shape in ivory cardstock. I've got simple double-sided tape on the back, so I just peel the carrier sheet away, and I'm going to add this just through the centre of the previous layer. There we go. And then my sentiment, I've die cut a little shape and I've just stamped it with Sympathy from the Sentiment Stamp and Die set in black ink, and I've just inked it slightly around the edge. Again, I've got this on flat double-sided tape, and I'm just going to add this towards the top of the insert like so. There we go. So you've got a little panel to write on in the centre, and to be fair, I don't think you're going to write a long message in a sympathy card. You're just wanting to send love and light and prayers, etc. to the person that you're sending it to. So I think that's nice and simple but pretty, and that's basically what we're looking for. Something that looks like you've taken time and put your creative energy into. So the front of our card, and I'm just going to use my bone folder again to make sure that's still a nice sharp score. Now the front of the card, I've cut out the border shape that goes with the fancy edge dies, matching the die that we're using. And I've cut it out of the damask cardstock in quite a light shade of dusky pink. Now this is where I say about the cardstock choices come in, because I'm bound to get people writing and saying, oh, I wouldn't have gone for something so bright. Well, you know what, not everything has to be dark for a sympathy card, because you're sending people your love and you're wanting them to know that you've taken time and trouble to create something. And when they keep the sympathy cards, because they will do, and they look back and they will think how beautiful it is. So, but again, it's all personal choice. So I've taken the double-sided tape carrier off the back, and I'm going to just position the full layer, the shadow layer, to one side of our card front. Then I've taken another piece of the Toile cardstock, and again it's the same as we use for the inside, and I've die cut just one edge of it using the ornate layer of the fancy edge dies. On the back I've got flat tape to the solid edge, and then I've got 3D foam along the fancy edge. And what we're going to do is add the flat edge to the flat edge of the card and marry it up, and then let the fancy edge just fall over the top of the shadow layer. So you can just see that little bit of pink coming through the underneath. Next, I've used the shadow layer of the ruffle dies. I've cut out the shadow layer in the damask cardstock that matches the pink underneath the first layer. I've got 3D foam on the back, and I'm going to add this just to one side of the fancy edge that we've created and press that down. I've then cut out the ornate layer again in the Toile cardstock. I've got 3D foam underneath, and I've just used a bone folder just to simply shape the layer just slightly to give it a little bit of shape, and I'm going to add that over the top of the previous layer and press that down. Next, I've got the sentiment Now the sentiment could be any sentiment. Mine says praying for strength. It's from the Sympathy stickers, and I'm simply peeling it away from the back, and I'm going to add it to the centre of the card, like so. And then I've taken 2 of the mini flower stickers, and leaving them as stickers, I'm going to attach one to the top above the sentiment and one underneath, leaving a little gap between the sticker and the flowers. And then I'm just going to position a little pink bow at that point. And that is our card finished. Such a pretty card. The inside and the outside. Not too many layers, will go in a normal envelope, and it'll show anybody exactly what you're feeling and that you're thinking of them. Please check the blog out for lots more projects. Give me the thumbs up, let me know what you think, if you've enjoyed it. Would you change any of it? Maybe not. I would just like to say thank you so much for watching. I shall see you next time.